Hey everyone, this is a guy called Joe, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Vlookup option or formula in Google Sheets. It's actually something that I noticed a lot of people have been asking about. Vlookups are pretty helpful when you're trying to combine multiple spreadsheets together. So in this case, I have up on the screen the Sidewalk Cafe licenses in New York City, and then also restaurant inspections. So those like food grade restaurant scores that they have. And so the Vlookup, what it does is it takes like it looks for a key, like a primary key. So like if you want to use the address, you can do that. It's probably the best way. You'll take that, and then you'll have the system look at the other data set for anything that matches that exactly. And if it does match it exactly, then you can pull out certain information from that particular row. There's also an HLOOKUP, which does it in the other fashion of a horizontal. It'll take something from those rows going from top to bottom. But in this case, for this video, we're just going to focus on the Vlookup, which will just look across the columns within that same row. So the first things first, what we need to decide on what we're going to use for our primary key. Since I mentioned before that the address is a pretty good, good one to use, especially when you look at these data sets. Usually the best way is really just to look at it first and then see if there is something that you could use. I actually went ahead and already concatenated the building and street, which gives us the full address. Here, there's obviously some weirdness with the data where we'll have multiple spaces or something like that. That's possibly something that we could fix later on, but might take a little bit too much time. So we can look around and see if there's anything else. If you're familiar with the New York City data sets, BIN number or building identification number is pretty solid, something that we could use. However, the Sidewalk Cafe licenses and applications doesn't actually have that value, so we're going to be unable to use it. So what we'll do is we'll just stick over to the actual full address. We'll just combine the building number as well as the street name. So what we can do is we'll do something similar to what we just did before. Go ahead and just insert a new column here, and the way you do that is just right click, and then you can insert a row or insert a column. If you want to do it to the left or the right, select the entire column by clicking on the column letter, so in this case G, right click, and then you can insert one to the left or one to the right. But let's go ahead and name this full address. And then here, what we'll do is we'll just set that equal to the concatenate, and then we'll select E2, comma, and then we'll throw in a space in there just to make sure we account for it, and then we'll pull in F2, and then that'll give us that. And then Google nicely, that's what it does, it'll suggest an autofill, so let's go ahead and accept that. And now we have a full address that we can work with. So let's actually, instead of putting it all into our raw data sets, let's create a new sheet here. And then what we'll call this is active sidewalk license, and then we'll say with score. All right, so what we'll do here is we're going to grab all the data here. We'll notice that in column B, we have an active and inactive status here. So this is the license status. Let's filter this by everything that is active. So what you do there is we're going to use the filter formula. If you ever used that before, it's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and say filter, and you'll see there it's filters arranged based on provided conditions. So we're going to select this range. So we don't care about column A. So let's click on that, and then let's go all the way to, do we need anything else outside of here? Nah, let's keep it simple. Let's just go all the way to G. So we're going to do that. And then our condition is going to be that's B. Let's click on that again. So that's Sidewalk Cafe license applications B to B equals active. And that's all you do. And now it's going to show all the active stuff there. Let's actually bring that down a row so that we have a header row here. And we'll just go ahead and just take this, copy it over exactly as it is. That way we have those headers. So now we should only have all the active, and we can actually double check that. So we have 302 rows. So minus the top, that's 301 compared to the, how many do we have here? 700 or so. So about half of these are inactive licenses. We don't care about those. So now that we have this, we have the full address. What we want to do is we want to match each row to the restaurant inspections data. Keep in mind, We probably have to do a little bit of cleaning. As you notice here, there's like, you know, multiple spaces over here, so we might not get matches for everything, but just for the sake of this tutorial, let's just go ahead and match on what we can. So the way that a VLOOKUP works is, first let's go ahead and type in equals VLOOKUP, and you'll see here there's 4 different parameters that we have to go through. The search key, which is that primary key that I was talking about, and we'll use the full address here. So we do that, and then comma, and then the range. So the range is just, you know, the data set that you're trying to look up this search key for. So in here, it's going to be F, the column F within the NYC restaurant inspections data. And then we're going to go all the way over to the score, which is column O. So go ahead and hit and hold the shift key. And then when you click on O, it's going to select everything between columns F to column O. And that's because you're holding down the shift key. And that's a nice way. If you didn't know that, this will probably save you a lot of time in the future. It's really nice to just, you know, go from one to the other without having to like click and drag everything. So now that we have that, we'll hit space, and it's going to ask for the index. Now what this basically means is it's asking you within this range of data, if we get a match, which data, you know, which column do you want the data to come back for? So between F to O, how many rows, how many places is that? So F, no, starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. When we put in 10 here, it's going to bring back the 10th column. So if we match on 222 Lexington Avenue, it's going to bring back 21. We'll hit a comment there. And the last thing is sorted. You just put in 0. I mean, typically your data sets probably aren't going to be sorted, but if they are, put in 1. Otherwise, put in 0. Add that, we'll hit enter. 29 East 2nd Street is not finding a match, but that's okay. Probably has to do with, you know, maybe the spacing like we saw for the West Street before. And also if they spelled out East instead of E, it's okay. We can clean up that data another day. So let's actually just make sure it's right. Let's drag that down, see how many we get matches for. So we got one for this guy for 22 Peck Slip. We also got another one for 24 Peck Slip, and then this one for 4436 Broadway. So that means that our VLOOKUP is working, which is good. So now we have a score here. So we can actually just put this in inspection score as the column header. And that's basically how a VLOOKUP works. You have to have a primary key that matches on both data sets. So if you're saying, you know, using it for a CRM option, the email address is a really good option to use as a primary identifier or a primary key. Address is here. We'll have to clean up the data a little bit, but so far we got a pretty decent match rate. Let's actually go ahead and copy this all the way down. A quick way to do that is this little square in the little corner here on the upper bottom right. If you do that, double click that, this is going to copy everything down just like that, which is great. So now we have, I don't know what the percentage is, but we do have a bunch of matches over here, which is good, which would mean that if we were to say select a different index or position for the match, we should be able to pull that through. So if you look back here, what else do we have between F to O? We have the zip code, we have the phone number, we have this action code, which the New York City data set doesn't really tell us what that's about. So why don't we just test this out? We'll do one more VLOOKUP just to get our feet a little bit more wet here. We'll take in the phone number. So if we use F as the starting position 1, so that's 1, 2, 3. We want to use index 3. Let's go here. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to say equals VLOOKUP, and then we're going to use the full address, or in this case F8, that cell, as the primary key or the search key. I'm going to go to the same range in NYC restaurants. So F all the way to O. Well, I mean, actually we can just go to H. So why don't we do that? So we'll do that. It's actually what happened over here. Oh, it's got all messed up. So we'll do F, hold down the shift key, H, and we'll select F, G, H. And then we said it was position 3, so 3 for the index, and then we'll put it 0 at the end because it's not sorted. Hit enter, and then we have that phone number for 22 Peck Slip. And we should also assume that we're going to get NAs for anything up here. So if we click and drag that over up top, it should all be NA. Makes sense. So we don't have the actual matches on there. And then if we double click this, it'll go all the way down, and we should only get phone numbers or anything that actually matched up before. that's the basics of a VLOOKUP. You can do this for a lot. If you want to clean up your spreadsheet a little bit, make it look a little nicer, what you can do is you can wrap this, wrap it meaning taking a formula and putting it around the existing formula that you have. We can do an if and a, which basically all that does is it'll check to see if what you're looking for is an NA value or not available value. And then if it is, then you can designate a certain value to default to. So in this case, let's just go ahead and do 2 double quotes for a blank space or just empty. Do that, and then that will just be empty now. And let's do the same thing for here. Wrap that in an if and a, and then at the ends, put in 2 double quotes for blank. Hit that, and now those 2 will be empty. So we can take that, do the copy command for all of it, and then go all the way down. So the way you can actually go all the way down, oh, sorry, I did that really fast. What you can do is go ahead and hit commands and shift, hold those 2 buttons down, and then hit the down area, and that's going to go all the way down to the last active value or filled in value. And just go ahead and just paste the value in, and now you'll get blanks for anything that is unmatched, and then you'll actually get a value back for anything that was or had a value. Yeah, so that's basically VLOOKUP. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. We're here to help, so don't be shy. We'll answer anything that you guys are asking. And of course, if you did like this video, you like the format of it, like the content or anything like that, please hit the like button so that other people like yourself can find this video. Of course, don't forget to subscribe if you want to receive notifications for any new content that Bootstrapping Tools How-Tos is putting out there. Also hit the bell so that you receive those notifications. But otherwise, it's been a pleasure helping everybody out, and I hope that we can continue to help everybody in the future. So have a good one. This is Bootstrapping How-Tos, and we're out.